Welcome to TERC Tech Talks with your hosts, Zach, Elise, and Ken. Today we use Edubrain.ai to explore geometric sequences with special guest, Oli.
Welcome to our fourth episode, and we are here today with a special guest. Again, I'm Ken Rafanan, and I'm here with Elise Levin-Güracar.
Thanks. Yeah, we're really excited. Today we have a special guest. We have Oli, who's a 10th grader, who's going to be joining us today to share some of their thoughts about AI and about a specific tool that we'll be diving into. Oli's favorite subject is math, and so we're really lucky to have them. Oli, thanks so much for coming on the podcast today. Can you share a little bit what made you willing to join us?
Thank you. I saw the first episode, or maybe it was the second, talking about AI, or you were talking with ChatGPT, the one that helps with your work.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Thank you. And what's your interest in AI? Do you use it? Do you not use it?
I don't use it, but I like talking about it because I think it's interesting.
Do you have some sort of ethical thing against using it, or
Yeah.
you just don't like the way it works?
I think it sucks that it steals from artists. And even when it's just writing, writers are artists too. So,
Okay.
And it will be wrong a lot of the time.
Stealing from artists and wrong a lot of the time. There are a lot of things that we can critique about AI. So you don't use AI, but I know you mentioned that your peers do. Can you talk to us a little bit about why you think your peers are using AI?
People use it a lot for math because I think most kids just don't like it. The way that teachers teach it makes it sound really uninteresting. And when you have access to these things and you don't understand, why would you go through the effort of trying to understand when it could just do it for you? Especially when the teachers, most of the grade is based on the work you do and not on testing. So you don't have to actually really learn anything.
Got it. So they're doing it for things that maybe they don't really understand, math homeworks that they don't really understand, and they don't really need to learn it because they aren't going to be tested on it, or the test just isn't a big part of their grade.
Mm-hmm.
So what types of homeworks are students using it on? What types of math homework?
Like everything, including word problems. Like people can use it for English class too. If it's like, answer this question about this writing, it'll read the writing for you and answer it when word problems are really hard to understand. Or just like really repetitive things where it's the same equation but different numbers over and over again. You have to keep solving like 20 times over. People don't want to do that either.
Right. Okay. What do you think might be some of the consequences of students who are using AI for all of their math homework?
You're not learning anything. And if the teachers check on if you're right, you'll probably get a bad grade.
Can you say more about that?
Like some teachers grade based on completion or if you just tried. But I think they'll be able to tell if the AI doesn't know what grade you're in and it's answers something like that's 2 grades above you.
Do teachers just tell students at whatever 10th grade to not use AI?
I think even bringing it up just gives people the idea. It's a given that you're not supposed to do it. Some teachers are like, if it's helping you, then you could use that. But I'd prefer if you come talk to me.
Do you ever hear people talking about using AI and worrying that maybe they're not learning things themselves, or do people not seem that worried about that?
I think a lot of people care that people are just getting lazy and not doing anything themselves.
What do you usually do when you have a homework and you're stuck on it?
I ask my mom, or I ask one of my friends that's already done it. Or
and what do they usually do when they help you?
I guess my mom explains it to me, or my friends explain like what they understand. And then I guess we kind of compare answers. And sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong.
That's life.
Mm-hmm.
Do they ask you sometimes for help also?
Mm-hmm.
What if you were to use AI for that? If you sort of understand something, do you think it would be okay to use AI to like help explain something?
I don't think it explains well either. I think if you have no one to ask, just ask the teacher. Because some people say that they don't know anyone that like understands the subject.
Well, thank you for all of that. Let's try using this platform. So can you tell us, what do you know? We're going to try out Edubrain today. This was one that you suggested to us that we hadn't heard of. So thanks for bringing it to our attention. What do you know about Edubrain?
when we used to have our phones, like we were allowed to use them in class last year in 9th grade, people would just like take a picture of their paper and then they write down what their phone says.
Okay, so you don't even have to type in the questions. You can just take a picture directly of your work.
It's extra lazy.
Extra lazy. Okay. And is this the one that you hear most often, like your peers using?
I see them using it.
You see
I'm
them
not
using-
sure if there's other ones where you take pictures, but that's the biggest one.
This is the biggest one that you see people using. Okay. I'm going to screen share, and you brought us a problem in exit that we can look at together. So this is what the home page looks like. I'm not logged in and I haven't typed anything in yet. So it looks like I can pick my subject. Oh. I don't know why it's not letting me click the word math, but I guess I will scroll down to math.
Maybe it wants a specific math.
Maybe it wants something more specific. Maybe there are a lot of really specific subjects in here, but there's math right there. And then it looks like I could type my homework problem, or like you said, you usually see students taking pictures. And so I'll drag in the picture of this problem that you sent us. This is lesson 6 exit ticket. It's from Open Up Resources, I think. Looks like it's preparing a solution to us. We get to see the percent, so it's ticking along.
Oh.
Do I have to log in? What if I don't? Well, let's cut this part out. It looks like I do have to log in. Okay, and I can type. All right. Okay, let's put that file in again.
It didn't make you log in. It lets you do all this work, so then you're kind of bought in. You're like, I guess I should keep going now.
Yeah, might as well. After you watch the progress bar preparing your solution.
It's not as cute as the star from Snorkel.
No. Okay. I will enter my email.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Get a little pop-up to message them. Okay, Oli, can you read to us what we see here? What did the AI give us?
A lot of information.
A lot of information. Okay, at the top it says analysis of decreasing geometric sequences. I guess we didn't actually show what we put in. So let's actually look at that really quickly first. Here's the exit ticket. Oli, can you tell us about this exit ticket or about this topic?
Geometric sequences, doesn't that mean like it's multiplying or dividing by something? Yeah.
There's some constant ratio. Yeah.
And it's decreasing, like it's getting smaller.
Okay, so a geometric sequence that's getting smaller over time. And it looks like this question has 4 potential decreasing geometric sequences, and it wants you to identify which ones are decreasing and then explain your answers. Okay, so this picture is exactly what I put into the AI. So then we can go back over there.
But this is interesting. It says like expert input is more reliable than AI. Do you think they actually have people online that are ready to help?
I'm not sure. That's weird.
Do you ever hear about your friends using these options?
No.
No.
If you're already extra lazy, why would you go to the extra step?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it looks like it gave us a title, analysis of decreasing geometric sequences. So to determine which of the given functions represent decreasing geometric sequences, we will analyze each option individually. Okay. Then it says understanding geometric sequences. Do you want to read us that sentence right under there?
A geometric sequence is defined by a constant ratio between consecutive terms. A common ratio R is less than 1. The sequence is decreasing.
Okay. Does that match with what you already know about geometric sequences?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Sounds right. Yeah, sounds right to me too. Do you think it's helpful that it puts this information right at the front before it starts going into each problem?
I don't know. I don't think anyone's reading that.
Okay, so you think they're not even going to read it? They're just going to, somebody who's using this tool is just going to skip right to the answer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then it says option A, f of n equals -6, parentheses, 3 to the n. And then it looks like it has 3 lines of explanation. The term 3 to the n grows exponentially as n increases. The function is multiplied by -6, which does not affect the growth of the exponential term, but flips the sign. What does that mean to you?
It makes it not negative.
Maybe
I
it
don't
makes
know.
it not.
Yeah.
This is so it's interesting that it says like it flips the sign, but it wasn't ever a different sign, right? Like it just means that it's negative. It didn't flip the sign from anything. It's not like it started out positive.
Right.
So, okay.
And it's not very mathematically precise language. Like as a teacher, I wouldn't be that excited to see an explanation that said like flips the sign.
Yeah.
And then it says, since 3 is greater than 1, the sequence is increasing in magnitude, but negative, thus not a decreasing geometric sequence. Does that make sense to you?
Kinda.
Kind of.
Yeah. I guess the thing did ask for an explanation. If you just asked which one of these it was right, it would say like B and C, not like all this.
Okay, so you're saying like the AI is giving us an explanation, which is part of the question. Okay. If you think somebody was using this for their homework, do you think they would write all of this out, or would they just like look for the answer, not decreasing?
I think they would say not decreasing because, and I guess summarize what it says there.
Do you think to be able to summarize these things, you have to actually understand something about the math, or do you think you can summarize without understanding? Yeah, you do. Can you say more about that?
This is already hard to understand, and I know what's going on.
This is already hard. It's hard to understand, and you actually know what's going on, right? You actually like made an effort to learn it. Would it be hard for you to summarize these points and use just this to give your answer?
I guess.
Maybe.
The way we did it was we just put it on Desmos.
Okay, tell us about that.
We saw that it was going up instead of down.
Like, what were you looking at? You saw what?
The line on the graph. Or I guess not.
Okay, so you went to a graphing calculator and you looked at the line. Do you think that this like AI answer could be improved if they like maybe showed you some graphs?
I think so. If it did better than the graph on ChatGPT.
Right, yeah, you're thinking about our episode 2 where we looked at that graph from ChatGPT, which was completely wrong. But if this could make correct graphs with correctly labeled axes, maybe that would be another way to help explain it, right?
At that point, it's easier to use Desmos to explain your answer.
So at a certain point, maybe it's easier to actually do the work yourself, you're saying. Ken, do you have any other thoughts about this first question and the explanation it's given us?
I'm not sure that it's even correct that it's not a decreasing geometric sequence.
Should we look on Desmos, Oli, like you would do?
Yeah. I don't remember which equation was which.
Let's look at it. So it's -6 times 3 to the n.
Editor's note here. This is Ken. You could hear here that I was confused about Edubrain.ai's answer. So while Oli and Elise were working through this task, in the background I was using ChatGPT and Gemini to investigate whether this was a decreasing geometric sequence or not, as Edubrain.ai was claiming. Both ChatGPT and Gemini responded with answers that yes, the function was a decreasing geometric sequence, which was in conflict with Edubrain.ai's answer and Oli's textbook. So the function is, yes, a geometric sequence, and yes, it is decreasing, but it is not a decreasing geometric sequence consistent with the math textbook's definition, because its absolute value of r is not less than 1. So during the podcast, we work on this discrepancy for about 5 minutes and we say some very confused things like we would when we're learning something. I think I was learning the most out of everybody in the podcast. So we'll do a podcast later about the source of my confusion, but we're going to just speed through and then we'll start back up when we're back on track.
What if we go to the next ones and we can see if it maybe it doesn't get any of them correct.
Yeah, let's look at the next one. Okay. The next function was f of n equals -6, parentheses, n-1, close the parentheses, plus 30. And then what does it tell us about that one, Oli?
It simplifies to f of n equals -6n plus 36. Since it's linear, it does not exhibit the properties of a geometric sequence and is not decreasing geometrically.
Okay, what do you
I
think?
agree
Do you,
with that. I
you
think
agree
it's
with-
arithmetic, or however you say.
yeah, you think it's an arithmetic sequence, not
Yeah.
geometric? It's linear.
Yeah.
And is their answer clear and convincing to you?
I
Like the
guess.
explanation?
I think the teacher would accept that, saying it's linear.
Do you think if you were a student and you literally just wrote exactly this, since it is linear, it does not exhibit the properties of a geometric sequence and is not decreasing geometrically. Does that sound like how a student writes, or do you think a teacher would be aware that
No,
that's
I
probably...
think, yeah, even a teacher that knows nothing about AI would know someone else did that for them.
Yeah, why?
It does not exhibit the properties. Who says that?
Okay, this doesn't sound like how a student would maybe write.
Come on,
No.
if math is your favorite subject, you got to start talking like that.
Should we look at the next one?
Mhm.
Okay, this one, function C. If f of n equals 1/6 f of n-1, where f of 1 is 36. What does it tell us about this one?
The term 1/6 indicates a geometric sequence where each term is multiplied by 1/6. Starting with f of 1 equals 36, the next term would be f of 2 equals 1/6 times 36 is 6. And f of 3 is 1/6 times 6, which is 1. Since each term is smaller than the previous one, this one's a decreasing geometric sequence. That's how I would have done it. So I think that one's good.
Okay, this is how you would have done it. So you would have like put in examples and looked at them.
Yeah. I think even if it's wrong, the teacher would be like, at least you tried.
Do you think that the way that if you didn't have an idea how to do this, like you hadn't done it before, do you think the way that it described it would have helped you to understand?
Yes, that one more than the other explanation.
Okay. Was there anything about this explanation that you think made it better?
It shows you why instead of just saying it's not linear because it doesn't look linear. It's saying like, or it's saying it goes down because each term gets smaller.
Right, and it used a strategy of plugging in a few numbers and looking at what the behavior is, and then explain. Okay, and this is, you said, is what you would have done. Great. All right, let's look at the last one. Function D, we had f of n equals 10, parentheses, 0.6 to the n-1. And this one also tells us about, it gives us a line about the form. So the function is also in the form a times r to the n, where a, the first term, is 10, and r, the common ratio, is 0.6. What does it tell us about this one?
The base r equals 0.6 is less than 1, which indicates that the sequence will decrease. Thus, this function represents a decreasing geometric sequence.
What do you think of that explanation?
It's better than the first two. Is it right?
What do you think?
I think so. It makes sense that it's because it's a decimal that it would be going down because it's multiplying by a decimal.
Wait, tell me why. Why does multiplying that by a decimal mean that it's going down?
Because it's dividing.
So something about multiplying by a decimal is kind of like dividing. And if we're multiplying by something that's less than 1, that's between 0 and 1, right? It's going to get smaller. Yeah. Okay, great. And you thought that this explanation was better than the first two. What did you like about this explanation?
Well, the first time I did this equation, I didn't understand function D, but I think I do better.
Wait, tell me more.
That was one, or maybe it was C, I'm not sure. One of them didn't work in the graph.
Oh, you're saying when the first time you actually did this problem, like as homework yourself, there was one that you didn't understand, and because it didn't work in the graph. If I had to guess, I would guess that C didn't work in the graph.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a recursive
Wait, why
function.
not?
Why not?
Oh,
Do you have any ideas? Why do you think maybe that one didn't work when the other ones did?
it's using the number from the last step.
Yeah,
But
it's
why can't
recursive.
the graph do that?
Why can the graph not do that? That's a really good question. First of all, to use a recursive function, you have to tell it the first term so it knows where to start. When you typed it in, did you try to include f of 1 equals 36?
Yeah.
You did. I'm not sure if the graph can actually, if the Desmos graphing calculator can actually understand that.
How would you make
I
it
know-
not recursive? Can you do that?
Yeah, you can go from a recursive function to an explicit function. And then once you had that explicit function, you could plug it into the calculator. I wonder if we could try since we can't type anything in here, I wonder if we could try one of the other AIs to have it help us see how to go from a recursive function to an explicit. What do you think about that? Which one should we try?
The one we have there.
This one?
Yeah.
I thought I can't type anything on here.
Oh. Oh, I thought you meant the equation. No. I
Yeah,
think
we'll
we
use
should
the equation, but let's use a different AI.
ChatGPT.
Okay. Okay, so now we have a ChatGPT window and we still have our problem that you were asking about how we could go from a recursive function to something that's explicit that we could put into the calculator. So I'm going to put a little picture of this function in the chat so that we can all see it easily, even when I go back to ChatGPT. And then, Oli, why don't you tell me what we could maybe put in here, what we could ask? And I guess let's put it into study mode.
I think you should just say, how do you make this not recursive?
How do you make this not recursive? Do you want me to include the equation here too, or should I just say this first?
Yeah.
Include the equation.
The equation. No.
Okay, so our equation from the other homework was f of n equals 1/6 f n minus 1, where f of 1 is 36. And I'm a little bit worried about how this typed. We have 1/6 f n minus 1, that it's not going to recognize this as the fraction 1/6, but instead 1/6 times f of n minus 1. It's hard to type math, and they don't seem to have a really good equation editor in here, but let's just see what happens. Oh, okay, I did get it right.
I just pasting in just the picture.
I could have tried that, but it did get it. It did get the formatting right. I'll read it. It says, all right, let's walk through this together. You have a recursive function, f of n equals 1/6 times f of n minus 1, where f of 1 is 36. Goal, find a non-recursive formula for f of n. Is that the same goal that you had?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it says, step 1, look at the first few terms. Let's compute a few values to get a sense of the pattern. It says f of 1 equals 36. That was given to us in the problem, right? And then f of 2 equals 1/6 times f of 1. And f of 1 we had from the step before was 36. It says equals 1/6 times 36 equals 6. Does that step make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
And then they did the same thing for f of 3 and f of 4, just taking the term before and multiplying it by 1/6. So then f of 3 is 1 and f of 4 is 1/6. And it says step 2, look for a pattern. The sequence seems to be multiplying by 1/6 each time. So we can write f of 2 equals 1/6 times f of 1. F of 3 equals 1/6 squared times f of 1. F of 4 equals 1/6 to the third times f of 1. Does that step make sense to you, how they got from these examples into this next way of writing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then it says, thus we hypothesize that f of n equals 1/6 to the n minus 1 times f of 1. How about that step? Is that clear?
I thought that was still recursive.
You thought that was still recursive?
Yeah.
How does it look different from the recursive? It's hard to see them both at once, but we have the recursive up here, what we started with. Then we just ended up down here. What looks different between those two?
The n-1 is in a different spot.
The n-1 is in a different spot. Yeah, that's a really great observation. Should we ask ChatGPT to describe to you how this is different?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to try to describe it to you? Yeah, we can ask ChatGPT. Okay. How do you want to ask them? What do you want to ask?
Wait, did you read step 4 yet?
I didn't read step 4 yet. Do you want me to finish and then we can ask your question? Okay. I just don't want us to forget it because it's a really good question. Okay, so step of 3 says we know that f of 1 equals 36. So the formula becomes f of n equals 36 times 1/6 to the n-1. And then step 4, the final formula. So the non-recursive formula for f of n is f of n equals 36 times 1/6 to the n-1. This expresses f of n without recursion. Would you like to try to plug in a few values to see it work? What do you think? Do you still have the same question about how this step right here with the hypothesis and your original recursive equation, how those are different?
No, I get it now.
Okay, what made it make sense to you?
Oh, because they have the 36, but now it has the 36.
Okay, so when they replaced the f of 1 with 36.
Mhm.
Yeah. And f of n-1 is calling back to the step that's before it,
Mhm.
right? Versus just when you have just plain old n-1, that's just taking whatever number was right here and subtracting 1 from it. So as long as you know which term you're trying to find, you can find n-1 versus having to know what the number before in the equation was. That's what makes the other one recursive.
That's what we had trouble on the poster when I was trying to make it not recursive.
To move to the explicit, that's what you had trouble on, moving from that.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this explanation? Was this helpful to you? It was a question that you had, a genuine question, like how do we go from something that's recursive to not recursive? Do you feel like you understand it better now than you did before?
Yeah.
Do you have more questions that you want to ask ChatGPT?
No.
No? Okay.
Just looking at the opportunities for learning that something like AI is going to miss. Elise, you're very well practiced, obviously, because you teach the math sort of on a daily basis. There's nowhere in here that would be checking, like, you're asking this question, I'm going to check that these things make sense to you, right? Like, so Ole, like you were saying, like, if the kids were just using this, you just write it down and you're done. You already have your answer. And but you've kind of skipped the step where it's really important, is like, does it make sense? How does it make sense to me? We could just write down the answer, and it doesn't matter if it makes sense. It's just the answer. But the making the sense part, that's the learning part. I mean, we've learned how to use the AI a little bit better. Maybe it was like we're being quite fluent in going from platform to platform to check our answers. But I don't know that that's not the math learning part. Well, I'm glad that you're not using AI all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else we should talk about, or should we?
Let's go back to the first one, because it did have a conclusion at the end.
Okay, let's go back to Edubrain and look at the conclusion at the end. Do you want to read it to us?
Okay. The functions that represent decreasing geometric sequences are function C and function D. For further exploration on geometric sequences, consider reviewing resources on sequences in series, particularly focusing on geometric progressions.
Okay. Is that helpful?
What does it even mean? It says, like, consider reviewing resources. But I'm not going to tell you what, I'm not going to suggest any resources.
Just look it up.
Or like, definitely ask your teacher or something. I don't know. Wait, what if, can we try the quick check, Elise?
Yeah. Okay, so at the bottom it says expert input is more reliable than AI. Try it now. And there's a quick check button. It's uploading my instructions. to log in again.
Maybe we could ask their
I do not have a account.
oh.
Okay.
So this might be there.
I think I'd have to make an account.
Mm.
And I would guess that the real expert help isn't free.
Feel free to upload more though. Like, you can feel it can feel free, but it's not free. Maybe it's like we're gonna get 1/4 of the answers incorrect, and so this whole thing is really just a platform for promoting their tutoring.
Mm.
That could be, but you said you don't really ever hear about your peers using actual tutors from here.
Not from there. My friend, she struggles with math a lot. She's taking both Algebra 2 and Geometry. And I'm not in her Algebra 2 class. For Algebra 1, she did ask me a lot of questions and a lot of help. And I think I did help her a lot. But now she has a tutor because we have different classes and we're doing really different things. I'm not sure what she's doing. So people do use tutors.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't use AI, but a lot of people do.
But a lot of people do. Yeah. How did you feel about using AI for this question?
Actually, I expected worse, but
You expected worse. Okay. What went well about using it?
okay, at first the R, whatever, the one that said like has to be less than 1, then that makes it go down. That didn't make sense, but now it makes sense.
Does it make sense because of something that the AI explained or because of something that I explained?
No, I think it just didn't realize what it meant at the start. Because
Maybe like,
it didn't say, it just said it's less than, or it's bigger than 1, which means it doesn't go down.
mm-hmm. And so maybe seeing more examples helps you understand that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So do you feel like you learned something using it?
No.
You don't think you learned anything?
No, it was more confusing than helpful.
More confusing than helpful. Okay. Do you think that people are actually, like when we went through this together, we read every single sentence and I asked you if they made sense to you. Do you think that's what students are actually doing? Are they actually reading everything?
I don't think anyone does that really.
Yeah, you don't think anyone really does that. So people are maybe not using AI in the exact way that we did in this video.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to a friend about AI? If they were using AI a lot, what would you say to them?
That there's free tutors at the school.
Why would you say that? Why would that be what you said?
Because talking to a human is much easier and more helpful and better for the environment.
Those are great reasons. Talking to a human is more helpful, better for the environment. Yeah.
Maybe more fun too. I mean, depending on who they are.
Yeah.
I guess.
Maybe more fun.
Or I've had my friends ask me, say, like, ask your mom what this questions means, because I know she's a math teacher and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, those social connections are they're kind of really important as it turns out. So.
Yeah.
It's time for TERC Tech Talk's top 3 takeaways. First off, students are using AI. While many students will be like Oli and strive to avoid using AI, being very aware of the trade-offs, others are using it, so we need to figure out how to best support everyone's learning. While Edubrain.ai did give solutions and explanations using symbolic representations successfully, it failed to provide graphical solutions. This is a big miss for math learning. And finally, we have to stay aware of the limitations of these platforms. Both ChatGPT and Gemini gave sensible but incorrect answers. We'll talk about this in a future episode.